No childhood is properly complete without the ingredient of irrational fear being instilled into you by a sibling or a peer. The best fears stem from local legends that take what you know to be true and mix it with that you can't verify to be false. For me, that fear was the Peach House, a rundown, abandoned home on the side of a hill visible from the 5 freeway in Southern California. This house had peach-colored stucco. All the windows and the doors were blackened out by what appeared to be some sort of flame damage. Now, I don't know personally, but from those that had claimed to have visited the Peach House, they told me that an old, haggard witch lived there. The entire first floor was just completely empty of any furniture. In the very center of the house was a giant fire pit. Now, this fire pit was so large that it was obviously used for ritualistic purposes. It was so substantial that the second floor had a hole cut in the ceiling so that the flames could extend from the first floor up to the second floor. Now, I mean, it wasn't all that practical because there was no hole cut in the ceiling, so this witch had obviously cast a fireproofing spell, and she herself was immune to carbon monoxide poisoning and smoke inhalation, which is, I mean, that's pretty impressive in and of itself. That wasn't what really scared me, though. What really scared me was the fact that this witch kept a shed full of severed heads off to the side of the house. Now, because that shed of severed heads, which is completely just really impractical to my mind, even for a witch, but you know, I'm not a witch, so I guess I wouldn't know why you'd want to keep a shed full of heads. But it was enough to assuage my exploratory needs. Honestly, it's probably best that I didn't go to the Peach House because I would have experienced disenchantment that the likes of which I've never experienced to this day if I'd have expected the Witch of the Peach House and found only local transients. Now, thanks to Wizards of the Coast, I get to explore my very own Peach House in the comfort and safety of my living room with really no danger of severed heads. Betrayal at the House on the Hill takes the premise of your average run-of-the-mill horror movie where a group of friends or strangers, however you want to tell the story, meet up and they end up exploring a very haunted house. Much like those that major in communications in college, the players have no real sense of direction at the start of the game. They begin the game at the very entrance of the haunted house. Now you notice that each player has a set of stats. Those can be altered throughout the course of the game. Once the haunt starts, if those stats fall below a certain level, then the character is actually dead. On your turn, you move your player up to the max speed that your character is currently at. Now that could mean stopping and turning over a new tile. Now if you flip over a tile that has a symbol in the corner, you take one of the corresponding cards and read what happens. The cards consist of events, items, and omens. If it's an event, obviously something's going to happen that could either affect your character negatively or positively. If it's an item, you'll get something that'll be beneficial to you later on during the game. And if it's an omen, it could be either an event or an item, usually an item, or a companion. Now, once you get a certain amount of omens flipped, you'll have to roll corresponding dice. And depending on the number of omens that are currently on the board, the haunt may or may not start. Once the haunt begins, the win condition is then revealed. There's 2 pamphlets, one for survivors, and one that reveals who the traitor will be for the rest of the game and what their win condition will be. This is when gameplay gets really interesting because up until this point, there's been no direction for how to win the game. When that haunt begins, something interesting happens where you actually physically remove the traitor, the player that's the traitor, out of the room, and you have them read their portion of what's going to happen in the win condition. The remaining players will then consult the Secrets of Survival booklet and figure out what their win condition is. Play will then continue almost as normal, where you're flipping tiles as you go along, stopping to read different events and item cards. You'll still flip over omen cards, but you won't have to worry about the haunt triggering a second time. Betrayal at the House on the Hill really scratches a pretty unique itch. You've got the thematic horror element, but you've also got some great mechanics mixed in there. There's tile placing games, which maybe some people like, some people don't. The fact is, though, that the game's going to change every time you play. I lose this game almost every time I play, but really I have a blast doing so. There's something really surreal about having your mother, who's raised you and your 7 siblings, homeschooling all of you, suddenly conflicted at the fact that she's got to find the components to make voodoo dolls of all of you and attempt to kill you. Really unique situation, and really just a blast to play. If you're looking for a cinematic gaming experience that's thematic, has really unique components, and just a ton of replayability, you should really check out Betrayal at the House on the Hill. It's been around for a little while. You can find it in most game stores, definitely on Amazon for sure. The rules are simple, but not to the point of being overly simplistic. You can take this game, you can play it with just about anyone as long as they're on board with the light horror theme of the game. Honestly, it's a blast. Like this video, subscribe. We'll try to get some more videos showing either gameplay, more reviews, or something along those lines. Thanks for watching. Buster.